and welcome to Label Sessions Presents, the podcast where we talk to the most interesting people about all the things you need to know in the worlds of innovation, business, design, tech, and culture. I'm Fuzlin Esau. Today, we're joined by two new experts to the Label Sessions roster, as well as Nick Sherrard and Josh Nixon from the Label Sessions team. Hello and welcome to Eleni Kitra. Eleni gets legacy businesses to reposition themselves for relevance across product, people, and purpose, and has helped global brands to reinvent themselves from the inside out. Also, hello and welcome to Dan Cavicchia. Dan is the person you call when your brand is too safe, too bland, or just hasn't figured out what cool really means, and sees design as a culture, not just content. We're seeing brands more and more lean into kind of a lo-fi, messy, raw visuals as a rejection of sort of corporate polish. This is a rising trend of anti-design. It's coming back to the forefront. We've seen sort of Charlie XCX's Brat album cover as sort of the mark of this being a key return to anti-design. Is this really a rebellion against uniformity and sort of corporate aesthetic, or is there a deeper shift in how brands are trying to signal authenticity?
I really love this kind of topic. I think, I'll tell you what, especially with the work I've been doing with YouTube Music, I was kind of forced to delve into this kind of culture, and it was great because I had to do like a lot of study and research. This is kind of, I'd say this is like Gen Z culture, okay? The culture of stuff that's not polished, and like there's nostalgia towards like a lot of like 90s stuff, like Y2K stuff. Nostalgia for like imperfection and things like that. Where is this coming from? Like psychologically, I think it's coming from the fact that the new generation, the Gen Z, has a completely different like experience of the world. The world is so unpredictable. The world is so not perfect. What has been given to them by the older generation is an extremely flawed world, with problems, environmental problems, with the fact that if you go to university, you come out of it and there's no guarantee for you to get a job. Actually, you're going to be struggling, and you won't be able to get property even, which is a completely different kind of mentality as opposed to the older generation. So there's this kind of atmosphere, psychological atmosphere, that I think kind of reflects into visuals as well, if that makes sense. And Brat is not that far from meme culture, which has been going on for so many years, and meme culture is not polished. Meme culture is made of really basic fonts that look like coming from paint from like 1999. Do you know what I mean? So this is the vibe, and I think it's connected to the idea also of authenticity and like trying to go for something that really resonate with like the viewer, like at an emotional level, and is more relatable because it's not perfect, because the world at the end of the day is not perfect. So I think this is what's happening there. And obviously, corporations are jumping on that bandwagon, like to kind of say, okay, meme culture is great. Brat has been like, like the big hit of the past year. So we have to do that. I think, everyone can jump on things like that. But at the end of the day, it's all about intention. And if you're doing that, but you're not really feeling it, you're not part of that kind of culture, it's just, you're not really going to stand out. You're not going to find the right reasons to use that kind of language. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to try and do that, just like corporations trying to go to gay pride and get a float there when they don't really care about that. So it's the same kind of thing. That just be part of culture just because you have to tick that box, but you're not really feeling it. So this is my point of view now.
From my side, okay, I live in a country where perfection is the minimum. Okay.
Love that.
The tallest, the biggest, the richest, the most glamorous, all the Ferrari, which are gold or whatever, guys. Okay. I'm at the end of the, I'm nothing here, I can tell you. Anyway, the need for taking down all these different layers of how you can be perfect and, in a very proper way, or in a very bling bling way, as I call it, is becoming more and more, because the generation right now is fed up. They have been raised with trying to do everything in perfection, and they have crashed their faces into reality. Especially the generation, as Dan said, they went out of the university with too many certificates and titles, and they go to find a job, and suddenly they are like, what is not happening to me? So the generation is in a crisis. They try to find themselves, how they should be looking like, how they should be talking, masculinity, femininity, different kind of, role models, understanding real news to fake news. They have developed great characteristics, by the way. Okay, they're much smarter than we think. However, they want some things to be simplified, to be back to the core of the value. And the brands can see that, so that they find this way of differentiating themselves to go into this direction. Otherwise, they will look fake. Okay, and then you have new brands coming up who they come from, I was nothing, I'm here for you, I am relevant to you, love me, buy me, stay with me. So there's a circle that goes round and round, because we're fed up with everything which is technically given to us in a very easy way, and you want to do some things and feel as a human. So I think it's that people want to feel like humans, and it will become more and more, by the way, because we love AI and technology, but at the same time we want to be feeling like humans, and brands try to humanize themselves compared to what they were trying to do before. So it's like two parallel walks going into direction. And I can see that because I work a lot with younger generation. I teach younger generation. I have young generation as kids, and I'm surrounded by very young people where I am. Here, the average age of the population, like 30 plus. Okay. I'm almost dying. I'm at the dying side of the people. And you see the need for that. Okay, you see the need for that. If I can just add to what Dan said, yeah.
It's interesting, that idea of intent as well, and polishedness, because it's kind of like, it's also like it's become so easy to look polished, and I think it comes into and also therefore so much of what marketing is has become so boring. There's so many, like in terms of even in the entertainment, like industries like fashion, that should be kind of really exciting when you walk into one of those stores. They all become quite generic. So I wonder if there's something in terms of, anti-design is this kind of, first little uptick of showing like what's the choice you've actually made as a team, as a company. What's the thing you're actually doing in this communication or in this piece of design that shows who you are and what you're about and what I'm about if I buy into it. It's kind of move away from this kind of, very kind of generic, polished, expected approach.
I think it's also this move to kind of almost distance from AI a little bit, because like you're saying, AI is so polished and so perfect now, that by building in sort of the opposite of that, you really are like, hey, we're doing this. We are we have designers, we have people who are doing this. It's the same thing that where copywriters were starting to build in mistakes so that you wouldn't sort of automatically assume that it's AI. Because suddenly the words that we use the word elevate, we use an M dash, and it's, that's AI. And that's just good copywriting. But so there's this move to kind of go, let's build in mistakes, because mistakes sometimes get results, as we often see. And it really does sort of have we have sort of the polished AI world, and then this sort of move towards authenticity and less design to show like more effort has been put into it, which is very interesting.
I'm really curious to see what happens, as in, like, is this the start of a new approach to creativity, or is it just a phase? As in, is it part of a cycle where we are a little bit tired of, like, perfecting our creative output, and we want to create this kind of world which is very kind of relatable, feels authentic and stuff like that? But are we going to get to a point? You can see that in music videos as well. Like, for example, I don't know if you just seen Lord's last music video. It's very much what we're talking about. She's really trying to strike a chord there. Okay, but we've been seeing more and more of this kind of thing. So my question mark, and I think no one really has an answer, is this going to last maybe like 5 or 10 years, and then there will be a new need to get back to something a bit more kind of packaged and a bit more, polished in a way, which is like the word we used before. I'm just curious to see that, because like creativity also goes in cycles as well, just like politics, it's the history of the world in a way.